Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pope.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Pope. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad you could be here again. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of September, 2015, Gregorian calendar style. Sun sign is in Virgo. Moon sign is in Taurus. It made the transition into Taurus at 4:02 a.m. So we have an Earth sign and an Earth sign. Two Earth signs today because both Taurus is an Earth sign and Virgo, as we know, is an Earth sign because we've been looking at for a while. So the two particular cards in a tarot, we know this one by now. Virgo, the Hermit, holding the lantern high. So this month we're focusing on, with this Virgo energy, on helping others, teaching, sharing, being patient, tapping in with the synchronicities of things, shining the light for others to see. And now we have Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. Now the key with Taurus being an earth sign, the Hebrew letter assigned to this is Va, and it means nail or hook. The whole idea is that the spiritual teacher understands that the physical world is just the physical world, but in order to really use it to its fullest, we have to hook with the spiritual world. Okay? So hook, nail or hook, the Hebrew letter Va, about hooking the spirit to the physical. That way we can be more effective. Okay? That's the gist of it as far as that goes. The aspects for today we're dealing with 1 minute past noon. Jupiter is going to provide some expansion to the Taurian energy. 5:53 p.m. We're going to be challenged to take a new perspective on things as Taurus goes into a sextile with Neptune. And then at 9:06 p.m. tonight, the Sun, Virgo, and the Moon, Taurus, will be in a nice, good, positive trine working together. Okay, so just imagine if there was a party and these two characters showed up at the party and they sit down and they have a conversation about what they're going to do. That's what's going on, basically. We've got all these different characters to represent the different energies out there, and we put them in different situations, just like every day there's different energy that they deal with and represent, and we put them in situations and conversations. We begin to understand that there is a life to these energies. They're not just sitting there without anything happening to them. They're alive. They're bringing life to us, and as we interact with them, we find different ways that life becomes a bit more interesting. Here on the wheel, just to look at the clock, remember the big hand would be here at the Sun, the little hand would be at the Moon, and this one's going to move around the Moon every 2.5 days. It's going to be to the next sign, whereas the Sun sign is going to take a whole month to go from one to the next. So we could see where we're at in a position with Virgo, because we know the next sign after that is Libra, and we know that the signs change sometime around the middle of the month, closer to the 20th of the month. So we have an idea now, since it's the 2nd of September, and we're going to go all the way to about the 20th or around there. We can kind of gauge how much time this represents. Okay, just some ways to look at it. Here we have the 18 Elul is the name for today on the Jewish calendar. And the daily thought is beyond wisdom. Beyond wisdom, but there doesn't seem to be anything there. Aha! Beyond wisdom. Do not be misled by those who claim there is no purpose. They may know life, but not its womb. They may know darkness, but not its meaning. They may have wisdom, but they cannot reach higher to a place beyond wisdom, a place from which all wisdom began. They may reach so high until the very source from which all rivers flow, to the place where all known things converge, where all knowledge is one. But they have not touched the very core of being, the place before being happens, where it is chosen that being will begin, where there is nothing, no light, no darkness, no knowledge, no convergence, no wisdom, nothing but the burning purpose of this moment now, because it is for that purpose that being began. Okay, nothing but the burning purpose of this moment now. Mayan Oracle, Dreamspell Oracle, 9, bar is 5, dots are 1, so it's a 9, human, guided by the star. So the 9th tone is the solar tone, so it would be the solar human guided by the star. And the phrase starts off right here. I pulse in order to influence realizing wisdom. I seal the process of free will with the solar tone of intention. I am guided by the power of elegance. So the pulsing comes from the solar tone. The solar tone pulses. The process of free will comes from the human. The solar tone is the tone of intention, and the solar tone is releasing wisdom. So we have a tone that is releasing pulsing, releasing wisdom. It's sealing this process, which is the free will for the day, with the intention. So we intend how we want things to happen. It's that mind thing. Our minds intend. Okay. And then the star beauty is what shines bright over us. Hidden power is the moon, our ability to nurture ourselves. Like-minded energy is healing, accomplishment, and the challenge is communication, spirit. And here's our location on the Zolkin. We could still see that we are in one of these galactic activation portal phases. We still have 3 more days after today. Current moon phase is 79% of the way full, making its way back down to the new moon. Solar wind currently at 381.7 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet between a 1 and a 2. Big coronal hole open up and at the top, a little off to the right, nothing facing us to be notified of. M-class flare possibility is down at 1. Class is at 1 as well. Geomagnetic storm activity in the mid-latitudes is subsiding, going from 40 to 30, and the higher latitudes dropping from 60 down to 50. And finally, looking up at the sky tonight, Wednesday, September 2nd, Vega passes your zenith. If you live in the world's mid-northern latitudes, Vega goes right through your zenith at nightfall. If you're latitude 39 degrees north near Baltimore, Kansas City, Lake Tahoe, Sandali, Beijing, Athens, and Lipson. Okay, so that's up in the sky tonight, and there you have it. Hope you're getting a chance to get out and check out this full moon. I know the full moon was 2 days ago, but still pretty bright, and I've been hanging out at night, just checking it out, meditating under the full moon. It's been pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, that's what's there. UFO news is up next. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News. with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. It's Dirk Bradshaw, everybody. One day he will make an appearance and we will see him again because he is more than just a voice. Okay. All righty. UFO news. First sighting. UFO comes down close over town in Costa Rica. This goes back to March. That's pretty interesting looking craft. We've not seen something like this before. Costa Rica. These photos are in high definition and huge, so I took a close-up screenshot of them above and below. The UFO seems to be swerving from side to side as the photos show different views of it. No video available, but 5 HD photos are hard to dispute. Alright, there's the sighting of it. Person says, I was in a soccer field, saw a dark hovering object against the sky to the east. At first I thought it was a photography drone. Grabbed my camera, started capturing the object. Then I was pretty sure what it was because I could not see propellers like the ones on a drone. The object has a manta ray shape. Surface did not reflect sunlight despite its bright morning. Object was over downtown. Okay. Very interesting looking UFO. Here we are at the Baltic Sea in Russia. A couple of lights up in the sky other than the sun. Cluster of red glowing UFOs were seen last month over the Baltic Sea. Sightings took place during sunset, which is the #1 time to catch a UFO. This is when the sun is setting, the light bends around, the cloak will no longer work for a few moments. This is why so many are seen during this time of day. Here's a crude example of how, where, and when a person can and cannot see. Okay, so here's just a good example. Okay. Just how if the sun shines on it, if you're here you can see it, if you're here you can't. Just depends where you are at that moment. Okay, and what do we have here? A little video, 1 minute 52 seconds, showing the objects in question. Very interesting indeed. Amazing UFO sighting filmed over Hahira, Georgia. This is the 31st of August, just 2 days ago. Here's one interesting footage that was filmed by night vision camera in Georgia. Hahira, Georgia, happened August 31st. The witness says 6 lights in straight light formation moving forward past camera. Video found on webcam this morning. 6 objects appeared in the bright formation. Okay, I'm going to play it again because you see it happens fast. There's those lights right there in the still shot. And there they are. And that's it. Okay. Up on Mars, or so we are told, this was one of the latest objects that was seen. And by looking at this, you can see that it does look like it has a face on it. Here's a rendition, cleaned up and enhanced, on what it perhaps looks like, which is that. A remarkable artifact has been found on the red planet by Mars Curiosity rover. The artifact, which resembles the face of a female, possibly a Martian deity, appears to be resting against the opening of a small cave or crevice. 1 minute 43 second video from Paranormal Crucible. Okay, and it's just basically a little compilation of what you saw there. Very interesting indeed. Interesting. Major basketball star claims to have been abducted by aliens. CBS Sports former Warriors player Baron Davis has traveled far and wide as a result of his NBA career and has seen a lot of amazing things, but a supposed recent alien encounter tops it all. According to Davis, as he told hosts of the podcast, The Champs, he believes he was abducted by aliens on a drive from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. I was actually abducted by aliens 2 weeks ago. When probed for details, he explained he was driving from Vegas to LA in the early morning recently, and this is what happened. I see this light, and it's a big truck, and I said, oh, this is going to be traffic. Davis said, driving, and the next thing I know, a steel thing and these crazy-looking people, half human, half ugly-looking mother, they were poking me in the nose, looking at my eyes, and they had my hands tied, and the next thing you know, I was in Montebello, dude, burning rubber on the way back to LA at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so Baron Davis says he got abducted by aliens. Well, maybe we'll hear more about this story. And last one here for today. The night Warminister, England thought they were being invaded by aliens. 50 years on, and the people of Warminister still want answers over the mysterious outbreak of UFO sightings that propelled the country town in the southwest of England onto the national stage in the 1960s. The Warminister case is one of the strangest cases of mass paranormal sighting cases registered in the UK. Although strange phenomena were recorded in the area prior to 1965, it was in that year that the frequency of reports of mystery noises and sightings intensified. August 17, 1965, a detonation noise rocked the houses in the town's Bournemouth housing estate before a monstrous orange flame was seen in the sky, crackling and hissing. There were also reports of strange sounds killing flocks of pigeons that year, as had also been claimed 12 months previously in 1964. The phenomena then became known as the Warminister thing, after scores of townspeople reported in late 65 seeing an array of inexplicable signs in the sky, accompanied by noises and odd occurrences. Most of the sightings were around the Cradle Hill and Cray Hill area surrounding the town next to the military land on the edge of the Salisbury Plain. Claims of paranormal activities in Warminister go back as far as the 50s, but it was the sudden flood of reports around Christmas 1965 that led to a public meeting being held in the town hall. It was hoped that the meeting would lead to answers from authorities about what was happening in the local area, but no explanation was forthcoming, and the case remains unresolved today. After the 1965 public meeting received national, then international media interest, the town became a gathering point for UFO hunters and investigators, with a series of books also written about the mystery. The interest in mass sightings continued until the 70s and then the 80s. They included metallic orbs, lights, cigar and saucer-shaped UFOs, plus droning and whizzing noises. Half a century on from the bizarre year to 1965, a conference was held in Warminister on Saturday at the Old Bailey Hotel to mark 50 years of this mystery. Several seasoned UFO researchers who descended on Warminister throughout the 60s and 70s spoke at the conference. UFO investigator Matt Lyons described how many motorists in the Warminister area had reported their cars failing following a UFO sighting of hearing strange noises. He claimed that the evidence of unexplained noises, particularly if caught on tape or camera, were as important as the UFO sightings themselves in solving the Warminister riddle. Mr. Lyons claimed ultrasound and infrared sounds may not be audible to humans, but could cause animals to react oddly. Okay, you can see there's a lot more to this article. However, I'm going to leave that to you. We've got a video here. Let's see, the video is 1 hour and 57 minutes. So, if what you've heard here has piqued your interest about Warminister, there's plenty more where that came from. Alright, so check it out. That is our UFO sightings for today. Let's check out the song Great Spirit. I'll be back and we shall continue on. Here we go.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Great spirits, send on your love. Okay, continuing on with the Krybalion. These are the principles, the 7 principles. So a refresher, we've gone over all of them, but we've been now in more detail. So we've given greater detail on the first 6 today, the 7th. Principles are: 1, principle of mentalism, meaning we live in a world, a universe that is nothing more than a giant mind. Principle of correspondence says that this mind corresponds to every aspect of itself. The principle of vibration says everything contained within this mind of God vibrates. And this vibrations, which means everything moves, and all these vibrations move back and forth from one pole to the next. And as it moves forth in rhythm. And we learn that everything we cause has an effect, and every effect creates a cause. Therefore, we learn to get in sync with things and step out of the way when things are going to not work in a harmonious way with us. And finally, the principle of gender. So, let's get on to the last of these principles here. Principle of gender. This chapter 13 is a couple of chapters on this one. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Krybalion. The 7th Hermetic principle, the principle of gender, embodies the truth that there is gender manifest in everything, that the masculine and feminine principles are ever present and active in all the phases of phenomena on each and every plane of life. At this point, we think well to call your attention to the fact that gender, in its Hermetic sense, and sex, in the ordinarily accepted use of the term, are not the same. The word gender is derived from the Latin root meaning to beget, to procreate, to generate, to create, to produce. A moment's consideration will show that the word has a much broader and more general meaning than the term sex, the latter referring to the physical distinctions between male and female living things. Sex is merely a manifestation of gender on a certain plane of the great physical plane, the plane of organic life. We wish to impress this distinction upon your minds for the reason that certain writers who have acquired a smattering of the Hermetic philosophy have sought to identify this 7th principle with the wild and fanciful and often reprehensible theories and teachings regarding sex. The office of gender is solely that of creating, producing, generating, etc., and its manifestations are visible on every plane of phenomena. It is somewhat difficult to produce proofs of this along scientific lines for the reason that science has not yet recognized this principle as of universal application, but still some proofs are forthcoming from scientific sources. In the first place, we find a distinct manifestation of the principle of gender among the corpuscles, ions, or electrons, which constitute the basis of matter, as science now knows the latter, and which by forming certain combinations form the atom, which until lately was regarded as final and indivisible. The latest word of science is that the atom is comprised of a multitude of corpuscles, electrons, and ions, with the various names being applied by different authorities, revolving around each other and vibrating at a high degree in intensity. But the accompanying statement is made with the formation of the atom is really due to all the clustering of negative corpuscles around a positive one. The positive corpuscles seeming to exert a certain influence upon the negative corpuscles, causing the latter to assume certain combinations and thus create or generate an atom. This is in line with the most ancient Hermetic teachings, which have also identified the masculine principle of gender with the positive and the feminine with the negative poles of electricity, so-called. Now a word at this point regarding the identification. The public mind has formed an entirely erroneous impression regarding the qualities of the so-called negative pole of electrified or magnetized matter. The terms positive and negative are very wrongly applied to this phenomena by science. The word positive means something real and strong as compared with a negative unreality or weakness. Nothing is further from the real facts of electrical phenomena. The so-called negative pole of the battery is really the pole in which and by which the generation or production of new forms and energy is manifested. There is nothing negative about it. The best scientific authorities now use the word cathode in place of negative, the word cathode coming from the Greek word meaning descent, the path of generation, etc. From the cathode pole emerged a swarm of electrons or corpuscles. From the same pole emerged those wonderful rays which have revolutionized scientific conceptions during the past decade. The cathode pole is the mother of all of the strange phenomena which have rendered useless the old textbooks and which have caused many long accepted theories to be relegated to the scrap pile of scientific speculation. The cathode, or the negative pole, is the mother principle of electrical phenomena and of the finest forms of matter as yet known to science. So you see, we are justified in refusing to use the term negative in our consideration of the subject, and in insisting upon substituting the word feminine for the old term. The fact of the case bear us out in this, without taking the Hermetic teachings into consideration. And so we shall use the word feminine in place of negative in speaking of that pole of electricity. The latest scientific teachings are that the creative corpuscles, or the electrons, are feminine. Science said they are composed of negative electricity. We say they are composed of feminine energy. A feminine corpuscle becomes detached from, or rather leaves, a masculine corpuscle and starts on a new career. It ascends, it actively seeks a union with a masculine corpuscle, being urged thereto by the natural impulse to create new forms of matter and energy. One writer goes so far as to use the term, it at once seeks of its own volition a union. This detachment and uniting form the basis of the greater part of the activities of the chemical world. When the feminine corpuscle unites with a masculine corpuscle, a certain process is begun. The feminine particles vibrate rapidly under the influence of the masculine energy and circle rapidly around the latter. This result is the birth of a new atom. This new atom is really composed of a union of the masculine and the feminine electrons and corpuscles. But when the union is formed, the atom is a separate thing, having certain properties, but no longer manifesting the property of free electricity. The process of detachment or separation of the feminine electrons is called ionization. These electrons or corpuscles are the most active workers in nature's field, arising from their unions or combinations manifest in the varied phenomena of light, heat, electricity, magnetism, attraction, repulsion, chemical affinity, and the reverse in similar phenomena. All of this arises from the operation of the principle of gender on the plane of energy. The part of the masculine principle seems to be that of directing a certain inherent energy towards the feminine principle and thus starting into activity the creative process. But the feminine principle is the one always doing the active creative work, and this is so on all planes. And yet each principle is incapable of operative energy without the assistance of the other. In some of the forms of life, the two principles are combined in one organism. For that matter, everything in the organic world manifests both genders. There is always the masculine present in the feminine and the feminine form. The Hermetic teachings include much regarding the operation of the two principles of gender in the production and manifestation of various forms of energy, etc. But we do not deem it expedient to go into detail regarding the same at this point, because we are unable to back up the same with specific proof. For that reason, science has not as yet progressed thus far. But the example we have given you of the phenomena of the electrons or corpuscles will show you the science is on the right path, and will also give you a general idea of the underlying principles. Some leading scientific investigators have announced their belief that in the formation of crystals, which was found something that corresponded to sex activity, which is another straw showing the direction that the scientific winds are blowing. And each year will bring another fact to corroborate the correctness of the Hermetic principle of gender. It will be found that gender is the correct constant operation and manifestation in the field of inorganic matter, and that in the field of energy or force, electricity is now generally regarded as something into which all other forms of energy seem to melt or dissolve. This electrical energy of the universe is the latest scientific doctrine and is growing rapidly in popularity and general acceptance. And it thus follows that we are able to discover in the phenomenon electricity, even at the very root and source of its manifestation, a clear and unmistakable evidence of the presence of gender and its activities, we are justified in asking you to believe that science at last has offered proof of the existence in all the universal phenomena of the great Hermetic principle, the principle of gender. It is not necessary to take up your time with all the well-known phenomena of the attraction and repulsion of the atoms, chemical affinity, the loves and the hates of the atomic particles, the attraction or the cohesion between molecules of matter. These facts are too well known to need extended comment from us. But have you ever considered that all of these things are manifestations of the gender principle? Can you not see that the phenomena is on all fours with that of the corpuscles or electrons? And more than this, can you not see the reasonableness of the Hermetic teachings which assert that the very law of gravitation, the strange attraction by reason by which all particles and bodies of matter in the universe tend towards each other, is but another manifestation of the principle of gender, which operates in the direction of attracting the masculine and feminine energies and vice versa? We cannot offer you scientific proof of this at the time, but examine the phenomena in the light of the Hermetic teachings on the subject and see if you have not a better working hypothesis than offered by physical science. Submit all physical phenomena to the test, and you will discern the principle of gender ever in evidence. Let us now pass on to a consideration of the operation of the principle on the mental plane. Many interesting features are awaiting examination. All right, we'll hit that tomorrow, because that's several more pages and won't get through it all if I jump into that today. Okay, one at a time. So, gender. We could see that we have a way of understanding gender here in this day and age which isn't quite in sync with the Hermetic teachings on gender. Gender, to generate. Yet we've got confused believing that we have more than just the masculine and feminine genders, and therefore we are confused in the direction to go because, well, life itself doesn't have more than two genders. And these two genders work together so they can generate more. So the principles of gender are always masculine and feminine working together. There isn't any case in the generation of more where the creative power has put together two feminine energies or two masculine energies, because neither one of those are generating anything. Therefore, you cannot really put them in the realm of gender. Gender is masculine and feminine, period. If you don't like it, if you have an issue with that, I didn't write the rules. Take it up with God. Plain and simple. Plain and simple, okay? So we need to understand what are the rulings, what are the workings and the laws of this universe, and find out if we're all confused on our understandings. And you can see that there is a real confusion about gender down here on Earth right now. We'll figure it out. I still think that there's a lot going on, that people are feeling other lifetimes, and they're identifying with another lifetime. I think that's a real possibility. So a person could be in a male body this time, yet is feeling or remembering a lifetime as a woman. Or a woman could be in a female body and remembering a lifetime as a man. I think that that is a very good possibility. But those conditions are not physical conditions, because the man's in the man body, the woman's in the woman body. Those are conditions in the mind. We live in a mind, the principle of mentalism. And when we consider and understand that, it's pretty basic. It's pretty basic. And so whenever we hear in world, I identify with, whatever follows that is talking about what that person's mind believes. Not the general belief of all of society, but that particular individual. Their mind thinks that. And if the mind thinks something, then we now have an idea of the arena that we need to work in to be able to communicate directly with it, to help clear up, or to help with any understanding that needs to happen. Okay? So there you have it. That's principle of gender. Tomorrow we'll learn a little bit more about that process. Here's an article from In5D. It's from Michelle Walling. Top 30 spiritual terms you should know. As a person climbs the ladder of spiritual progression in this lifetime, there are particular terms that describe various stages of development. In order to maximize the opportunity of this lifetime, there are at least 30 important spiritual terms you should become familiar with. All of these terms are part of the reason we incarnated, and mastering the meaning of each of these is likened to initiation. When you master the initiations, you prove that you are ready to move to the next experience. Okay, let's see how many of these you know. Just keep, for yourself. I'm just going to go over them and read the names. And 1 is awakening. 2 is vibration. 3 is soul. 4, higher self. 5, monad. 6, creator source. 7, multidimensional or dimension. 8, soul groups, soulmates. 9, dark night of the soul. 10, spirit guides. 11, guardian angel. 12, twin flame. 13, free will. 14, universal law. 15, soul contract. 16, incarnation. 17, ascension. 18, life purpose. 19, karma. 20, chakra. 21, DNA upgrade. 22, meditation. 23, aura. 24, spiritual protection and clearing. 25, Merkaba. 26, New Earth. 27, forgiveness. 28, love or loving yourself. 29th, gratitude. And 30, NDE or near-death experience / light review. Last phrase says the awakening process is the soul's realization that raising one's vibration is necessary with the help of the higher self in the ascension process. This will allow life on a new earth that is built upon universal law. We are all connected to a creator source that created our soul and our monad or multidimensional conglomerate of our past lives. We incarnated with our soulmates, and with the help of our spirit guides and guardian angels, we will complete our soul contracts and fulfill our life purpose. The dark night of the soul brings us opportunity to transmute karma and clear our chakras. This will allow our DNA upgrade and cause our Merkaba to spin. Through MDEs, we learn the importance of forgiveness, loving ourselves, and having gratitude in this lifetime. We can heal our aura through meditation, which will protect us as we climb the spiritual ladder and move towards reuniting with our twin flame to enjoy a higher level of existence of love and free will. Well, very good, Michelle. That's a great list, and really cool the way you put it all together there at the end. So, very good. And as you can see, there is a lot of information here after each one of these. There's videos, there's graphs, everything. So check this out. See how many of those terms you knew. Probably knew all of them, I'm guessing, because if you're around here, well, you're not like most folks. You're tuning in because you're paying attention. That I am aware of. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here because you would not know what we are discussing or talking about. Okay. This brings us to our channeled message today, and it comes to us from Morpheus. Here we go. Morpheus.
Morpheus. September 1st, 2015. By Robert Misser.
The impairment undergone through the fracturing of the cosmic essence and the development of consciousness has created a psychological prototype. Through much manipulation, derangement has resulted on a collective level. Let me forward, and start at the beginning. When you view an empty canvas, there is absolutely nothing on it. It is nothing. You grab a pen and start drawing on it, you have added extension to it, you have added dimension and expression. The empty canvas could be viewed as the soul. It is nothing, but mind jots something on it. Ipso facto, your soul is immortal nothingness. When dimension is projected, you experience spatio-temporal field dynamics. The empty canvas could be viewed as non-extended infinite potential, and it is analogous to the soul. The mind then adds extension through dimensional actuality. The primordial and fundamental tool in the extension of dimensional and thus spatio-temporal multiplicity is zero, extending through infinitum. In example, the soul is a mathematical generator. So, what has occurred, through the segregative quality of disposition, is mind projected dimensionality from a purely imaginative will. From this primordial, fundamental will, there are no dimensions. Then through the creative qualities of the dimensional formation of mind, sprung dimensional activity, which resulted in perpetuity and henceforth came technology. What has happened, however, is that through the development of abstractions, extra dimensions have formed that surpass and encompass the mental operations of your psyche. And since the abstractions were developed so fervently, imaginative veils that would have been responsible for dimension integrators of actuality did not develop. You are missing dimensions, which is rendering your psyche completely exposed, and your imagination utterly suggestible. At the same time, you are being exposed to extrasensory dimensions that cause your mind to spend all its time interacting with the information stored in the extra dimensions. This makes sure you are completely and utterly under the spell of the movie being portrayed around you. In this movie, people are actively selling you fear, and harnessing the energy and projective faculties of your mind to create a system of control. Religion is one of these systems. It uses elementary operant conditioning. Humanity has created a duality of what's good and what's bad, and as a result avoids and resists pain, and implores and searches for pleasure. If you could design a system that appeased these two inextricable conditions of value, you would come up with the world religions. Conspiracy theories are also the same mechanism. Religions are formed in times of revolution, but look at where it has got you. Don't you think, looking at a future paradisiacal or hellish state, you are futilely focusing on something that could be? If you aren't appalled by the current system, and are against a new system being created, then it is clear you are content living in this state of falsified realism. Perhaps, you should not be waiting for something, nor should you be fighting against a new world order, but instead creating in the now, and realizing the faults of your own system. I have explained before about the chaotic and ordered attractor. Imagine, if you will, a collective attractor, that organizes information orderly. Now imagine, a collective attractor, that chaotically mobilizes information. Now imagine if you fell into either one of these attractors. You could create whatever you wanted in chaos. However, if you were ordered what to do, you have become a slave. Don't be a slave. Don't be focused on stopping a new system from developing, but on revaluing the current system. These incoming waves are highly charged electromagnetic sinusoids, that being so, they are completely operant on your mind and therefore DNA. However, do you think they will magically create a new system for you? No, the energies are to be used constructively, collectively, not as a miracle cure but as an enhancement for a paradigm shift, that you will bring on yourself. It is up to you. What are you waiting for? Why are you waiting? Begin re-evaluating and creating now. Don't allow these waves to come penetrating your collective mind sphere without a direction. There will be immense chaos. However, if you are able to anchor the energies into your field and direct them, consciously, and precisely, maybe you can achieve a paradigm shift without the chaotic rumble. It is easy to project all your imperfections, follies, and corruptions on your elected officials, royal families, and on radical beliefs of reptilians controlling your planet and moving you into slavery. Or you can realize that your imagination is being enslaved by extra dimensions, and the sociopaths of your race are channeling the creative faculties of your potential energy into such paradigmatic realities. Do you understand what is being said? It is you who are the creator. You can project one way or the other, but it comes down to you. The ruling elite is the result of an impaired collective psyche. Humanity has, effectively, projected their divinity onto ruling families, by rejecting their shadow. Now by folly of their virtue have created the image of a reptilian dynastic rule, who plans to kill 90% of the population. You are in the dream of dreams. Am I a conscious voice speaking to you in the noumenon? Or am I another devil trying to stop you from reaching freedom? The prison is you, it is the subtraction of dimension over extra dimension, divided by collective projection. I am not saying that there isn't a serpentine race interfering or communicating with humanity. I am not saying that reptilians aren't a part of actuality. However, perhaps they are just a mirror. Until next time, Morpheus.
Okay, last part, very interesting. Perhaps they are just a mirror. Okay, something that we definitely need to consider learning from. You know, we have a lot of misunderstandings about what's going on, and if we become so fearful of looking at what's out there, then we're going to perhaps miss what it is we need to learn. Things don't always come in beautiful packages. That's the point. Sometimes we have to look through that to move forward. All right, this is the Warrior of the Light for today, page number 98. Sometimes the warrior feels as if he were living two lives at once. In one of them, he is obliged to do all the things he does not want to do and to fight for ideas in which he does not believe. But there is another life, and he discovers it in his dreams, in his reading, and in his encounters with people who share his ideas. The warrior allows his two lives to draw near. There is a bridge that links what I do with what I would like to do, he thinks. Slowly his dreams take over his everyday life, and he realizes that he is ready for the thing he has always wanted. Then, all that is needed is a little daring, and his two lives become one. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath, and exhale. Take another deep breath, and exhale again. One more breath. Inhale, and exhale. Now I just want you to contemplate all of these principles that we've been learning of Hermetic philosophy, the principle of mentalism, that all is mind, that everything around us is the energy that makes up one giant mind. And all aspects of this mind, according to the second principle of correspondence, correspond with themselves. So just like a drop of water in the ocean has all the properties of the ocean, so too does all of the drops of energy have all of the essence of the all. And the third principle of vibration teaches us that everything moves. Everything moves in its constant vibration, sometimes slowly and sometimes fast. The things that are vibrating slow enough we can see, touch, taste. The things that are moving so fast we can only hear them, and some are moving so fast we can only perceive their energy, such as light or wind, which all we can do is feel its presence. And the next principle is the principle of polarity, which reminds us that all things are comprised of energetic forms of electrical energy that move back and forth from one pole to the next, from the masculine pole to the feminine pole, and vice versa. And these poles are nothing more than charges of electricity, one giving, one receiving. And through the principle of rhythm, we understand the process by which we move back and forth between these poles occurs as we dance with life and dance to the rhythm of life. And with this rhythm, we understand that all things we do cause something to be affected. And all effects go on to be the source of other causes. And now with the principle of gender, we understand that masculine and feminine are the two forces of electricity that continually interact. And through their generational process, life continues to evolve. And finally, the principle of gender. And so as we understand all of these 7 principles, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender, we understand that there is a way to understand the universe around us and the energies around us. So we simply allow our minds to be open to receiving this wisdom or correspondence from the other aspects of ourselves, which are already aware of this wisdom. So let the subconscious mind continue on the journey of absorbing and understanding all that we have gone over thus far, understanding the way in which energy of life moves. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for being here. We are the ones we've been waiting for. The only fear that's out there is the fear that we allow ourselves to accept. The stations are going to try to promote the fear. The politicians are going to promote the fear. Life itself has many characters who want to promote the fear, but fear itself, false expectations appearing real. So don't get caught up in that illusion. Go through life faithful and strong, knowing that no one can manipulate you. All the answers are inside. All we have to do is go look. Sometimes the joke is on us because we think that we're going to look and we're going to find the answers. But whoever put the answers available to us, they put them in a place where we don't often go, and that's inside. But if we go, we find that that's where the answers are. So let's be strong. Let's remember we are the ones we've been waiting for. Let's not get caught up in all of the nonsense and just keep encouraging each other. That's all it takes. Courage, strength, faith, and all will be well. That's it. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Till then, have yourselves an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other. Peace. I'm out of here.